Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. This is our Listen Up Livingston edition of Local Leaders, where we basically sit down, we talk to community leaders, we talk to political leaders, and kind of get their take on whatever's going on in the parish. And today we have Parish Councilman for District 1, Mr. Jeff Ard. How are you?
Doing fine. I'm glad y'all asked me to come on.
Yes. A lot going on these days with the Parish Council.
Yes, a lot.
Y'all have been staying ultra busy, and we were talking before the show, folks, and I was telling Jeff I attend the majority of these meetings. And these guys have been working extremely hard. They've had several 3+ hour meetings lately, especially with everything going on. And so I do want to say we appreciate that hard work by all these guys. They're really out there putting in the time and all of that. So I want to acknowledge that. And we're going to talk about the moratorium. Some people call that a cuss word.
Yeah, we call it the M word.
That's it. Because there is absolutely nothing easy about grasping a moratorium. One thing that I learned when I really started digging into the parish council was this isn't as easy as it looks, what y'all do.
It's not. It's real hard when you're the one sitting up there and all the eyes are on you and you're having to make that decision.
Yes.
And sometimes you really feel for the guy that's up there complaining and might not want something to happen, but the law's the law.
That's right.
And you got to follow it. You got to do what the law says. Now, as a councilman, we have the authority to change the law.
Right.
But it takes time.
That's right.
You can't just say, okay, let's change it. It probably takes a good month to change a law.
Of hard work too. I mean,
Yes.
A lot of research. You've got to get with attorneys. You've got to make sure it's written correctly, because what you don't want to do is spending a month writing an ordinance, and then you have to change it again 2 months later because times have changed.
Right.
Something's happened.
And for 30 days, that's an easy ordinance. Really a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, this is just going to happen. But
right.
The one we're fixing to talk about, we're knocking on 4 months.
Yeah.
That we've been working on this ordinance.
Yeah.
Mr. Talbot put in probably 2.5 months by himself.
Yeah.
Before he brought it to the ordinance committee, introduced it there. They banged a few things out, changed a few things, brought it to the council. A few more things was brought up, changed a few. Well, we're going to wait and adopt it. We adopted it. Realized that we had a few languages that still were wrong that the parish president caught, so he vetoed it, brought it back to us. We made them changes. We introduced it, so we're ready on the 9th to adopt it and it become law.
Yeah, and a lot of hard work involved in that, and it's kind of at the end of that to where you can adopt it and a good ordinance.
Yes.
And so the moratorium, for people that aren't familiar with really what it is, moratoriums are put in place to kind of slow development, right?
So, stop it.
Yeah. Well, that's a better way of putting it.
let's just stop right now. Let us get this stuff fixed. Then we'll go back to development. But when I say stop, I mean on all new developments.
Yes.
So I've gotten some phone calls where people's like, man, I'm halfway building my house. Do I have to stop? No.
Yeah. Keep going.
Keep going. I just started doing the road work on this development. Do I have to stop? No, you do not. If you have not done anything and you bring a new development into us to work on, we're going to say we're under a moratorium right now. You're going to have to come back when the moratorium's lifted.
Yeah. So essentially these preliminary plats come in and you approve these plats. Well, during a moratorium, you basically don't look at the plats. That process stops. Well, if the preliminary plat is not approved, there can be nothing after that. So that's kind of a way of summing it up.
It really gets tricky sometimes because you don't really want to stop things, but you need to stop things. And on the moratorium, the night we voted, it was 2 that voted against it. Everybody else voted to. It was a 60-day moratorium.
Yeah.
I didn't want a moratorium.
Yeah.
Because our parish, we survive off the tax dollars.
Yeah.
We don't have the chemical plants that Ascension and these other places have, these other industries that can foot the bill while you have a moratorium.
That's right.
We don't have that. We stop that, the tax dollars being spent, we have no income.
Right.
So what people are calling the government to do, clean my ditch out, fix my pothole in my road,
resurface my street,
resurface the street, whatever it may be, we have to stop that. We don't have the money when we shut it down. Now,
so it's a serious consideration.
I don't think 60 days will impact us that bad.
Right.
Because the work that's going on now will continue. So by the time they're ready to move to the next project, we should have everything fixed. The moratorium should be lifted. We should be back to working normal businesses. 12 months.
Yeah, that hurt.
I think it hurts.
I agree. And initially that's what was kind of proposed or talked about anyway. And when all the shaking out happened, it ended up being 2 months, and I think there's a 30-day option to renew it.
Yes. So it's one of them. If you give somebody 12 months, they're going to take 12 months.
Yeah, that's right.
And we didn't want that. We didn't want it to be able to just kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a deadline of 60 days. So us councilmen get up off our butts and do our job.
Yeah. And y'all been, one thing that I cannot stress enough is what these guys on the council have been doing is very hard. It's a lot of work. Just going to the meetings. Look, I make a commitment to go to as many meetings as I can. That's hard for me to do from a constituent perspective. I can only imagine, all of us have families and other things, but they really do put a lot on the back burner to serve the parish. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone on that council has the people in mind and in heart. Yes. I really do. I believe that. And I think we're fortunate to have a council that all of them seem to care. And
and I guess probably the only difference that we have in the council is the definition of the people.
Right.
Who is the people? Is it only the people that live next to you? Or is it everyone that lives in this parish?
Yeah.
From the developer to the carpenter, the electrician, the plumber, the concrete guy, the roofer.
Yeah.
The kids going to schools, the teachers, law enforcement, firefighters, all of them matter. Not just the people that live in your district or your backyard.
That's
so
right.
when we make a decision, you have to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, you are the vote for your district, but what you do impacts every single person in our parish.
100%. And, the only time, in my opinion, the only time a councilman would kind of need to look at his district that hard is if it's something that negatively impacts his particular
Yes.
district. Of course, that's where you'll see some splits and things like that. And that's good. That creates banner. And really the best, in my opinion, the best ideas come out of banner. It comes out of people sitting around talking.
Yes.
And that's one thing y'all do well.
Yeah, we do well. I mean, me and you were just
Some more
talking
than
about
others.
it. Yeah, we have a lot of long conversations on the phone with each other. I mean, you know, it's no secret. Me and Mr. Girlinghouse are friends from kindergarten,
Sure.
all
Go
the way
Walker.
through. We're Walkertown boys, and we'll talk about things, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna call this councilman, you call that councilman, you know, and let's
Yeah.
get their thoughts on it, you know. And I mean, we're constantly trying to make it better.
Yeah.
I mean, just any way we can, and if we decide to just do it in the meetings, we're just not getting anything accomplished.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Jim Chapman with Local Leaders, the podcast, and I want to make you aware of a fantastic deal they have going on right now at Fit Body Boot Camp in Denham Springs, Louisiana. If you go to the link getfitdenhamsprings.com/local leaders, you can get $30 off of the regular price of $129 for 30 days of classes. Go to the link, click it, sign up. 30-day classes for only $99 through that link. It's a special deal offered to all of our listeners at Local Leaders, the podcast.
You have got to have them conversations before the meetings, after the meetings. I mean, we've had times where we've made votes, and a week later we're like, we got to go back and change that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we don't get the feedback we need until we vote, because people won't just come in there and give us their input. And we have had tremendous input in the last 2 months.
Yes.
From just a normal constituent in the parish to an engineering firms, developers, carpenters, just coming in, and this is the issue that I'm going to have. You know, this is how it's going to impact my family, my community. We need that.
Yeah.
You know, because we really truly only know my route that I drive every day to work.
right.
This is what I see. Well, I need to get them to fix that road. And man, that pothole just about took my rear end off. I need to call and get them to fix that. You know, that's what I see on my normal routes.
Yeah.
So if we're not getting phone calls from people to let us know where problems are, you know, we're not a full-time job position.
Yeah.
We're not riding around the parish looking for issues that need to be fixed.
Right.
We depend on constituents as much as they depend on us.
It's communication.
It is extremely needed in communication between
100%.
us and the people.
100%. And you know, you as councilman, you got to be, I find it interesting that you have to kind of be versed in many different things.
Yes.
I came from the construction industry. That's where I cut my teeth. That's where I spent my entire career before I got behind a microphone. And there's a lot of things I didn't know a whole lot about before I started really digging deep into it. And as council people, you've got to be well versed in all of that
And everything.
And if you're not, you learn real quick.
Yep. Yeah. And then I did. I mean, you know,
sure.
when I first came in, we were all new.
Yeah.
Every one of us was new the first time I came in. So, you know, we leaned on each other. We leaned on our clerk. We figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, and we went through tremendous stuff. You know, we had 2 major floods. One of them was the largest in our parish. Our first year. First year.
That's crazy.
Well, nobody having any knowledge. You know, we had some tornadoes that tore up some of the rural areas north of Walker. We had one tore up the town of Livingston. Yeah. All that was within the first year and a half.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, so it created almost like an effect to where it forced you. You know, not that you needed forcing, but it sure forced you into we've got to kind of become experts at this. You know,
Yeah, and
done a great. I think y'all have done a great job.
The flood led us to this ordinance. Mm-hmm. So because of the flood of 2016 was our first time to really look into this ordinance and say we might have a little problem here.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really take an account of what happened in 2016 because that's just
freak event.
That's a freak. Yeah. It just doesn't happen often. But it's still, hey, we got to do something to make these developments a little better. There was really no ordinance that required the developers on how they had to do a retention pond, how much they could impact the drainage in the area. And we looked into it and said, you know what, we're going to make it to where it's a zero effect. You build your development, and if there's so many cubic inches of water coming off in an hour, you keep it that way.
Yeah.
You keep it that way. You can build. That ain't working.
Yeah.
That's what we currently have. That was changed in 2016. So everything that was built prior to 2016 was not even built under that ordinance.
Yeah.
So now we're changing it again to make it a 20% reduction. So now if you got 500 cubic inches of water coming off, you got to reduce that by 20%. So in essence, a development is going to improve the drainage because they have to retain the water and let it out on 20% less than what it normally does.
Yeah.
So
they're actually making improvements.
Right. They're going to make some improvements. So if you got a main ditch running through there and all this water comes through and it's coming off of this property, we're going to catch that water that comes off the property and we're going to slow it down.
Yeah.
So that what's flowing in the ditch can get on through there faster and we'll slow it down off of this property a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that one's going to be a huge difference for our parish.
Oh, it will. It makes all the difference in the world because as it is now, they're just not making any impact one way or the other. Mm-hmm. With that new ordinance, they're actually improving it, and by 20%. That's significant.
Yes.
Noticeable improvement.
Yeah. So the other big one is the number of lots.
Yeah.
So there's a discussion about do we have 2 per acre or 2.5? Both sides have a pretty good argument, and I think that'll be solved. I really think the difference that I look at is 2 lots per acre versus 2.5 lots per acre is a 15% increase in the price of the home.
Yeah.
Most people buying a house, and if you've ever bought a house or been around real estate or anything, they come in and they find a house they really love, but it's just out of my price range.
Yeah.
Man, I can only spend $200 and they want $215 for this, but I might can suffer for 5 years and then I'll be making enough money to actually afford it.
Yeah.
Well, you add another 15% to that. Now they can't.
Yeah, they're out of the ball.
They're out of the ball. I'm out. I can't even look at that house anymore.
Yeah.
You know, well, them people that are in that price range are our teachers, our law enforcement, our firefighters, you know, the people that we need to stay in our community.
That's right. And our kids, right?
Kids.
I mean, look, when
just starting out.
Yes. You get out, you get married and, you know, you're in the midst of your career, maybe at the beginning of it. You don't have the money to buy a 5-acre plot of land and put a $1 million home on it. Just, you know, so they've got to have somewhere to start. I've got 3 of them that are, you know, 2 still in high school, 1 in college, but I don't want to move in out of this parish. I want to stay in right here. And you know, I don't want them coming to me to ask for a loan either. I want to be able to get that loan themselves. Yeah. So,
well, look,
you got to have that.
One of the big things in our meeting the other night was the school board said there's a shortage of teachers. Mm-hmm. You know, kids just aren't going to school to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Scary. Well, if we make everything to where a teacher's salary can't afford it, why would they go be a teacher?
Right.
why would they go into law enforcement? Because I want to go into a profession that I can put my family in a home, a house that's built, that's solid, that when a hurricane or a tornado comes through, at least I feel that they're safe.
Yes.
If not, I got to put them in a trailer.
Yeah.
I got to buy half an acre and put them in a trailer. It's even been said that y'all build these huge developments and all these people are going to move in. Yeah. I think that's false. Right now in Livingston Parish, we have 7,000 high school students from 9th to 12th grade. 7,000. If half of them leave our parish and the other half stay, that's 3,500 homes we need.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's another 3,500 coming right behind them and another 3,500 right behind them. So what do? Tell them, get your degree and leave?
Yeah.
We're not building any more houses here. We're not having any more developments here. Yeah. So it's not new people coming in, filling up these subdivisions.
Right.
I would love to do a poll of a couple of subdivisions and see how many people in each household that at least one of them is from Livingston Parish.
That, I'd be really interested. And I would not be surprised if it's the majority.
I would bet you it's somewhere up around 75, 80% of a subdivision. It's going to be someone, they might have married somebody from Livingston Parish. They moved and started to raise their kids, or, they could have just moved off, went to college and came back with a spouse, and we're going to go raise our family in Livingston Parish. It's safer. Yeah. They have a better school system.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to raise our family. So the sense of they leave, most of the time they do. But when they get ready to raise that family, they're coming back.
That's right. That's right. And from someone that has kids, that'll shortly be that age, I don't want them leaving here. Yep. I want them to know that they have all the opportunity right here. Hey, when it comes to podcasting local business, I want perfection. And when it comes to banking, I want personal service, and that's why I bank with Hancock Whitney. Hancock Whitney Bank not only provides me with a local business banker, but also the experience and knowledge only a bank with a history of over 100 years can provide. With over 230 branches in the Gulf South, Hancock Whitney can service all of your banking needs, including commercial lending, small and large business accounts, personal bank accounts, and much more. For more information, visit HancockWhitney.com. Hancock Whitney Bank, your dream, their mission. The issue that has come up is you can control that from an aspect of if you have a large development coming up and it's one every so often. The problem is there's tons of large developments that have plans to build here in Livingston Parish, and hey, why not? We're the greatest parish on earth, right? Mm-hmm. I don't blame them. Yeah. But with that, you also have a lot of considerations. Infrastructure being one of them, of many. Schools. What is the impact on your school system? And you brought it up earlier. We already don't have enough teachers. They're not graduating the amount of teachers they used to out of colleges. So that creates a problem of who's going to educate them. Bus drivers. I mean, bus drivers. All these things. It's so much you got to consider.
So, and the way I look at that, we had a guy that stood up in our council meeting, and he gave this big spiel about taxes. Mm-hmm. And the guy asked me for more taxes, and he was trying to base it on the development would be the reason for it. No, wait a minute. Right now, we have a drainage problem. We have a school problem. How are we going to fix that if we don't get more money?
Right.
We can't build a bigger school, because it's not like people are stopping having kids.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are going to constantly come through, and as one set of kids grow, that multiplies.
That's right.
And the next set of kids grow up, that multiplies. And it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. If not, we would still be in the back in the days in the horse and wagons where you just had a house every 5 miles.
Yeah.
But we don't have that anymore, and it keeps populating. So, I mean, truly the only way you slow down population is you quit multiplying.
Yeah.
And that's just never going to happen.
Yeah, we're not castrating people.
Right. Yeah. So we need to have smart growth. We need to look into these things, because if we don't have smart growth, we are going to have to pass more taxes. We are going to have to ask the people that live here, we need you to ante a little bit more up.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep up. The price of materials is going up nowadays. Everything is ridiculous. If you in the construction field at all, you would know.
Yeah.
Everything is ridiculous right now. And then you can't find labor. No. We don't have just a school teacher shortage. We have a labor shortage.
Right.
Completely across the board. Everybody is having problem finding people that want to go to work.
That's right. So all of those things created an enormous amount of pressure to kind of, we've got all these things we've got to fix to make our community viable, and you still have your regular maintenance stuff with the parish. I mean, that the potholes and all of those sorts of things that you have to deal with. So this moratorium, when they were discussing that it was going to be a year-long thing, I automatically, coming from where I came from, I was like, oh no, you don't want to stop people from working in this parish for a year. And then I started looking at, the cost from a tax perspective and the money that you're getting in from these people working, and they're spending money here, they're eating here, and all these sorts of things. So I was like you, a year to me would have just been too long. It would have been a major detrimental effect, in my opinion. But cooler heads prevailed, I guess you could say. And in the end, it was a 2-month moratorium. And look, it gives me confidence when I have a councilman come in here and they say, hey, 2 months, we're going to get this right. And maybe we'll need that extra 30 days. Maybe we won't. We're acting like it doesn't exist until we realize, okay, it's there. But I like it that y'all are anxious and have been going to work on this.
Yeah. And I mean, no, I don't see anybody just, no, I don't want to work on it.
Yeah.
We got 60 days. I mean, the night the moratorium went into effect, we already had the changes to the ordinance and ready to introduce.
Yeah.
We're not sitting around just saying we have 60 days.
Yeah.
No. And technically we have 30 days.
Yeah.
We're not playing that game.
No.
No. We had a special meeting last week. That we was in
lengthy.
From 3 to 5:30, and then we went straight into an ordinance meeting that went till almost 10 o'clock at night. So from 3 to 10 o'clock, we was in meetings.
Yeah.
I mean,
yesterday's meeting was 3+ almost 3 hours, something like that.
Ordinance meeting yesterday was 3 hours. The council meeting last week was 4.5 hours. I mean, we are putting as much time, and that ain't even counting the hours of on the phones with each other.
Yeah.
The text back and forth, the emails back and forth, just trying, working with our office, trying to make sure that when we write this, we covered it.
The most important part, probably, of the whole thing.
Yeah, we covered it. We got it right.
Yes, and this is a problem that's kind of probably been 20 years in the making. Well, long before y'all were on the council, there were some things that probably should have been done that didn't get done for whatever reason, and so you just the lucky ones that now you have to deal with it.
Yep.
Sandra Richard has been in the business of selling homes for over 20 years. This award-winning realtor brings the perfect blend of professionalism, integrity, and client satisfaction to every buying and selling transaction. A passion for both her clients and her community makes Sandra the perfect choice when buying or selling your home. So if you're in need, call the Cajun Lady, Sandra Richard, at 225-955-5484, or visit her on the web at sandrasellshouses.com. Sandra Richard, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Another hot topic that kind of relates directly to the moratorium is zoning, and something that I've been a huge proponent of for a while, and glad to see that y'all are actively working on that. I think you're working on maps now.
Yeah, our maps are going through now. I think the majority of them are finished.
Yeah.
So now it's each councilman get in there, get your map. We'll take it home. We'll ask a few community people that's in our district to come in with us. Let's look at it. Redline it, if you will.
Yep.
Make a few changes. Turn it back in. They'll make them changes, give it to us. Then we will have town hall meetings.
Yeah.
Invite the people. Come in.
Love it.
See it. Look at it. Tell us what you feel about it.
Ask questions.
Ask questions. Yeah. You know, let's get this right. But it's still, zoning is a working document.
Yeah.
You will be able to change zoning. That's why it's going to become extremely important who you put in these council seats in the future.
Yeah.
Extremely important, because they will be the ones that have the authority to change zoning.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like this council is going to make it strict.
Yeah.
We're going to make it strict. If you live in an area right now that's R2, residential, and that's what's in that area is going to stay that way.
Yeah.
The land around it is going to stay that way. But you get out north of Walker, where there's all the homes are 1 acre lots, they're country living, there's no subdivisions around at all. That's going to be rural.
Yeah.
And that's rural definition is 1 acre lots.
Yeah. As it should be.
But there's another side of the fence to that 1 acre lot.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
You don't have as many restrictions as a pig farm coming in beside you.
Yeah.
You know, there's things that you can put in rural that you can't put in residential.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get focused just on that 1 acre lot, 3 acre lots. Yeah, but the bigger the lots, the more you allow to come into the area.
Yeah.
So you got to find that. Where is that line that I want to be at in my area?
Yeah.
You know, that's where I want to find. That's why we need the community. And look, just because you zone it, I think we're going to do a 1 year, just kind of open document. We're going to put zoning in place. So for 1 year, we're going to allow you to come back in there and say, I really think mine should be R1, not R2.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at it. Show me why. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and change that to R1.
Yeah. So you're working with the people.
So we're going to work with the people. But after that year is up and over with, it's going to take the vote of the council.
Yeah.
It's going to take the vote of the council. You're going to have to go to the council. And there's a reason why you can change zoning. Let's take Watson, where the Walmart's at right now. 10 years ago, before that Walmart was built, was there anything around there?
No.
Story's Grocery was there.
Yeah.
Best po' boys ever in Livingston Parish.
100%.
You know, that was the only thing on that intersection. That was it.
It was rural for all intents and purposes.
If we'd have had zoning then, all of that would have been zoned rural.
Yeah.
Well, when they got ready to build Walmart and all the other things, it would have had to have been changed to commercial.
Yes.
You know, the city of Denham just fought a development behind Home Depot because that was zoned commercial.
Yes.
And they tried to change it to residential.
A situation where zoning actually worked for the people.
It worked for the people.
Yes.
So it can be changed. And then the other thing is, a lot of people think, well, when you have zoning, you don't need all these ordinances. No, that's not true. Because if I'm going to do a development, I've got to go find a piece of land that's zoned that will allow me to do this development. So then once I find it and buy it, now I have to follow the rules of that ordinance to do my development.
Yes.
So the ordinance still means something.
100%. It holds the developer or the builder or whoever it is accountable.
Right.
And to a certain standard. If you just zone it commercial and you don't have ordinances, they can build it to their standard, not your standard.
And to be honest, that's what was happening 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They were we just didn't really have that tight of restrictions on our parish. You know, and a lot of what people think are retention ponds that people get all mad and say, that ain't even a retention pond. No, it's lakefront property. That's what that is, because there was no requirements for it.
That's right.
So,
spraying everywhere.
Yeah,
beautiful.
They dug that pond to get the dirt to build their development.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that there's actually, that's actually flood mitigation stuff.
Yes.
Some people think, oh, it's so nice. It's got a big lake. In fact, they put a big lake there. I'm like, yes, they had to.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point with the city of Denham Springs, and I want to just tell this story. So, Jeff had mentioned the development they had going up right by the Home Depot. It was zoned R3, I believe, or they wanted to change it to R3. It was zoned commercial,
C1 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they had the meeting. I was at that meeting. Much like the parish council meetings, 5,000 people showed up. They were falling out the doors, and every one of them was against it. Now, I don't fault the person that owned the property. They're trying to sell the property.
Right.
And, I 100% get it. And if it were me, I'd try to sell it too. The problem was they wanted the zone changed. And so it required a vote of the council, even though they followed all the, or they would follow all the ordinances in place. They still had to change that zone. And so because they had to do that, required a vote of the city council. The city council, to their credit, listened to the people and said, it's obvious nobody but you wants to change this. And so we have to kind of go by that. That's a major point to where zoning actually worked and why it's so needed in the parish. These guys can't do anything to stop somebody if they're following the ordinances that are in place, except change the ordinance. That takes time. So without zoning, a lot of bad things can happen, and in the past have happened with people really getting in an uproar at the council meetings over something they don't want. These guys might agree with you 100%, but legally you can't stop it until you have something like zoning. And I think the good thing is most people are starting to kind of get that and realize that. But that's a primary example of the benefit of zoning.
Yeah, it's just another piece of legislation that allows us to have something to stand on.
Yeah,
and I go back to Ascension Parish. When Mr. Tommy Martinez was the parish president, him and his council brought zoning in, and
they voted them all
out.
Yeah.
But I think what the people didn't understand is you had a group that was trying to make it stricter to build in their parish. We want you to follow more laws. We want to have a little more say-so on it.
Yeah.
Well, when the people was ready to vote them out, the developers went and got people to run against them.
Mm-hmm.
And the people voted all of the developers' people in.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who made the decisions of how it was zoned?
Yep.
The developers' people.
Yep.
So
And now you see the situation.
And
there.
now the
They've been
zoning was done so easy
yeah.
that it was almost like it wasn't even zoned.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. And that tells me that y'all are looking at, there was a saying one time, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from others' mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So what that shows me is that y'all have been paying attention to what's been going on there and saying, okay, wherever they screwed up, we're not going to do that same thing.
Yeah.
Smart. And you're not reinventing the wheel. You're looking at other people that have done it and kind of implementing your things that fit for you here. And then you come up with a new plan.
Mm-hmm.
I could not agree more with the way y'all are approaching that entire situation. Now, with this moratorium, we had talked about this earlier, but there's not much of a cost to a 2-month moratorium. There probably won't be noticeable. One thing that people probably do need to know, though, and I know there's 2 developments in particular here in Livingston Parish that are really being focused on right now because of the amount of houses that are involved. If they were approved, these plats, before this moratorium took place, in other words, the date of that approval was prior to y'all saying, all right, everything's going to kind of stop for a minute. Is that still able to go on?
They're going through.
Yeah, I thought
they're going through. They've already been through planning. We tabled one of them, but it's going through.
Yeah, you can table it's just kind of delaying.
All we're doing is delaying it.
Yeah,
but it's gonna. There's no way that we can make them go back through planning and make them have to go through the new ordinance. It's just we legally have nothing to stand on with that.
That's right.
I can also the subdivision down in the French Solomon area, Valère. There was an issue with the sign height. So when we got the planning, the sign, they were able to prove it wasn't at the correct height or letterings were wrong or something. But all they have to do is go fix the sign. Yeah. And it stays there. It's 10 days. So it's already in.
Yeah.
That's not a requirement of them to have to start all over again.
Right.
They didn't change anything about the development. Everything is still the same, the way they proposed it. Only thing that was wrong was the sign was put up wrong.
Yeah.
So they're going to go out there. I actually think they changed it yesterday. Signs up. They're going to wait the 10 days. It'll be on probably the June 9th meeting, and we're going to have to approve it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Now, are there some councilmen that will probably vote against it? Probably. And it's easy to sit there and say, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know they're going to vote for it, so I'm going to vote against it.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that. Yeah. I've even had people call me and it's like, man, why don't you just vote against it? Because I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote what's right. And if the law says that they should go through, I'm going to vote them through. And if you bring me a reason that I can legally stop them, I'm going to stop them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to follow what the law says.
BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. It's interesting in how things are written, and one of the things that carries a lot of latitude with it, I don't like the way it's verbalized, but it'll say, oh, you can stop a development if it creates, a haphazard effect on the community that you can prove. And look, they have a parish attorney sits in on all those meetings, and he has reiterated over and over again that you better come with some substantial proof. And and a 1,600 house, a 1,600 house subdivision going in. If it were all going in the same day, maybe you could prove. But what people got to keep in mind is they're not all. If you have 1,600 houses, that's in phases. And it might take 4 years to build those 1,600. It might take 2 years. It might, I don't know. It depends on the builder and how quick. Right now, it'd probably take an extended period of time for sure, just to get all the material for something like that. But regardless of that, they're not all going up so fast that you can really prove a detrimental. If you can, that's great. Class action lawsuit, go sue the developer, and but from a council standpoint, if they're following the law, there's not a whole lot. I mean, I would almost question the councilman if he said they're following every law there is. Yeah, I'm still going to stop.
And
them.
I mean, that's what it says: the safety, welfare, and well-being of the community.
That's pretty pretty broad.
That's pretty broad. You have to prove a safety issue.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
What's the safety? Is it because the road is too narrow? We address that.
Yeah.
One of the ordinances says if you have a development up to 100 homes, I think the road has to be 18 foot wide.
Yeah.
If the road that you're going to do your development on is not 18 foot wide, the developer has to widen that road from the entrance to the next road that meets that requirement.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're going to even go a little further with that, because sometimes the next exit is not really the exit that everybody's going to.
Right.
So sometimes you pull up to a state road to just cross it to get to the next state road.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that where they're going to is taken care of.
Right.
When you start doing something over 100 home development, it has to be a 20-foot wide road.
Yeah.
And if not, the developer has to pay to widen that road. So that safety concern is gone.
Yeah.
There's no longer a safety concern there. And I haven't had one developer come to me and say, why did you do that? I don't want to pay to widen that road.
No, and
not one.
I would say the developers are really trying to work with you guys and come up with solutions. I know there's a couple in particular that go to the meetings and I've listened to, and look, if a developer, they have a lot of investment, a lot of money in these projects, and they get these rules up front. And if they're following all the rules, it's, I don't throw all the fault on them. It's you can't fault somebody for following all the rules and then and people get upset about it. And they really are trying to work with, I do find the majority of them are trying to work with you guys and say, hey, what do you need from our end? We'll be glad to help. There's a few in particular I really like that go to those meetings. And look, the engineer.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, an infant formula company on a mission to get a lot closer to the most superfood on the planet, breast milk. Our patented protein blend has more of the important and most abundant proteins actually found in breast milk. We're the first and only U.S.-made formula to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, not skim. We even conducted the largest clinical trial by a new infant formula company in a quarter century, with clinically proven benefits like easier digestion, less spit up, and softer poops versus a leading infant formula. And we make our own formula in the USA and our very own factories in Iowa, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Engineers don't have anything. They're just hired to engineer
they're
things.
Just hired to do it.
Yeah. And we have one that contributes to this community heavily, involved in everything from the chamber to everything else, and gives a lot of their time. And I think sometimes they get kind of unfairly attacked from the perspective of people think that they're the cause of all these builders coming in, and no, they're an engineer. That's all they do.
And look on that. I mean, I don't mind saying quality engineering.
Yeah,
is the developer of this.
Yeah.
And everybody knows. Now, the owner of Quality Engineering is from French Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me, I'm from Walker.
Yeah.
And if I was still living around where my parents raised me and the development was coming through, and old boy down the road that I grew up with was an engineer and he owned an engineering group, I would want them to hire him.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he knows where all the problems are in our community.
That's right.
He knows where the bad drainage is and where it's going to be impacted. Before he does any studies, he probably already knows. So to me, that's a good thing to use that type of company that's in your area to develop your area.
I agree 100%. I think you look inside and then you look out, because this person's familiar with all of the, issues that we may have in the community relative, especially to drainage.
Yeah.
And you hire someone from Houston, Texas. I mean,
and they're just going to come in and they don't know anything about it. And one of the developers told me at one time we were discussing about the signs, putting them up there, and he's like, Mr. DeLatte wanted to have all of the findings brought to us. So right now we approve a preliminary plat. Then they go do drainage impact studies, traffic studies, all that. Once they do everything, meet all the requirements, it's approved, it goes through. It doesn't come back to us.
Yeah.
He wanted all the findings and stuff to be done first. Well, one of the things that the developer said is, look, we go put this sign up to say that, in 10 days, we're going to planning to present this preliminary plat. He said, you wouldn't believe what we get out of that sign from the community.
Yeah.
Hey, what you going to do about this canal back here that floods all the time?
Yeah.
So the input that the community gives to these developers off of these signs are huge. Most people say, man, they complaining all the time. Yeah, but I wasn't listening to the complaining, but I heard what he was saying. And we need to go look into that and see if there's a problem back there.
William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance cares. He cares about his customers, their families, and the Livingston Parish community. Call William Waldrop today for all your insurance needs at 225-667-2040. TWFG Insurance and William Waldrop. Their policy is caring, and they're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. I'm going to give you a hypothetical. So let's say y'all would have passed a year moratorium, and then the parish councilman would have vetoed it, which he had already kind of said he would do if that happened. Once it got back to the council, is there any way to override that veto?
6 votes.
6 votes. So 2/3 majority.
2/3 can override it.
Can override it. And then at that point.
And I mean, we knew there was the votes were not there to override it.
I think you made the right call.
We absolutely
with the
knew.
2 month.
And I think that was why, they called me and said, hey, would you vote for a 60-day moratorium? I said, I ain't voting for no moratorium.
Yeah.
And then when it got back to me, you pretty much got a choice, 12 months or 60 days.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go 60 days.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, and look, this is, this is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever work on as a council. And I tried it I'm not on the parish council, but I tried from my perspective of putting myself in y'all's place. And that's a tough problem, man. It's like, no matter what decision you make, there's going to be a lot of people happy with it and a lot of people not happy with it. And this is just really a tough animal to wrap your brain around. I was someone that in the beginning was totally against a moratorium. I just didn't agree with it. But as I dug into it, kind of got deeper into it, I'm like, man, there's nothing wrong with a little time to get this right. And 2 months is certainly reasonable in my opinion.
Yep.
And so I think at the end of the day, y'all did end up coming and making the right decision for the community.
And I had a good conversation with the parish president before we voted, and I'm like, look, would you veto this?
Yeah.
If we decided to go 60 days, where do you stand on that? And it was a little pushback, but it was almost the same pushback that I gave. And it was kind of like, well, had we not ever mentioned moratorium, there would be no need for it.
Right.
But because we mentioned it and all these developers are trying to hurry up and get all these developments in, there was that hold up, time out.
Yeah.
60 days, we're going to get this right, and then y'all can come back and resubmit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he even saw that need, and he's like, no, I'm not going to veto 60 days.
Very good.
Y'all need that.
Very good. And that's government working together for a common good. And y'all have done a really good job of that. Now you chair the parish council. And
ooh, it is
I'll
tough
tell you,
right now.
how you do it. I'm gonna tell you, that's some personalities on that thing.
Yes,
and you
it
see
is.
Jeff in the middle, and he's like, I'm gonna pick up that gavel.
Yeah, I mean, I try, and a lot of times people ask me, why don't you say nothing? I'm like, did you not see me trying to referee? Sometimes it's too hard to say something. Yeah.
It's a tough job,
but it is. I mean,
on that thing.
You don't want to tell the people you're done.
That's right.
Because they're speaking from their heart. They're up there pleading to us. Help us. And I want to hear it, but you tell them over and over again, don't come to the podium and start off telling us your life story.
Yeah.
Because you got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Tell us get straight to it.
Yep.
Tell us what your problem is, because there's 5 other guys behind you that want to tell us their problem.
That's right.
So it ain't that we're trying to restrict you. We want to hear what you want to say, but just get to the point.
Yeah, it's just maintaining order.
Just say it, get it out there, and we're listening to you. I promise you, we're listening to you. And sometimes it becomes this debate. They might come up and address a certain councilman, and then they debating, and I'm like, okay, stop.
Yeah,
stop. That's not what you're supposed to come up here on this ordinance. Say what you have an issue with, and that's it. Not come up here and debate. If y'all want to debate with each other, you can do it after the meeting. We have to stay on point here.
That's right. I actually heard Councilman Girlinghouse it might have been a couple of weeks ago, but it took me back because y'all were talking, everybody was talking about something, and he says, point of order. And I said, wow, look at it. Yep. You get up there, you got 3 minutes. That's plenty of time to really to air concern. And look, I've been there a lot of times, and I've heard some tough stories and some sad stories. And I'm sure everybody that comes up there, your heart goes out to, and you want to help them. Sometimes you just can't legally help them. And it doesn't mean you don't agree with them either. And
I've saw that many people, they've called me and asked me, said, man, how you like being a councilman? And I said, I love it.
Yeah.
Except for when I can't help.
Yeah.
That's the only time when I have to tell people I can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
That's out of my legal realm. I just can't do anything for you. This is what the law allows me to do.
Yeah.
And some people don't like that answer.
Yeah. And the good thing is, as we mentioned earlier, you have a parish attorney there that is very knowledgeable, and y'all refer to him often, obviously, because you're not attorneys and he is. And Tracy Girlinghouse actually, on one of the matters that y'all were discussing, he reached all the way out to the Attorney General of Louisiana and got an answer from the Attorney General on what he would advise be done in that situation. And I mean, so that's talk about taking an extra step and really going above and beyond. I find the majority of you guys on the council do that. So much work involved. It just blew my mind when I really got into it. I'm like, man, this is not go to the meetings and you do the meeting and you vote on some things and you go home and then you don't think about it for 2 weeks.
And
None of
that's
that.
the other thing is on top of that, we all have full-time jobs.
Yes.
Every one of us. Some are business owners.
Yeah.
I'm both. I have a full-time job and I'm a business owner. So, plus I'm on the council dealing with everything on the council. And I mean, my time is limited sometimes with my family,
100%.
because I'm juggling all this stuff. And I really want to help my community grow in the right direction.
And you really don't want to stop growth. You just want smart growth.
Right.
And it's up to every individual to kind of define what that is in their mind. But I can tell you I haven't found one step that y'all have taken to fix this that's been kind of out of line, in my opinion. I think y'all are moving way in the right direction. I'm glad that we have examples from other parishes that we can kind of look at and say, we're not doing that. And those are always good things to look at and use what works for you. So we certainly appreciate your service. Nobody has more respect than me for what y'all do, because I know it's tough and it's a lot of work.
It is.
But you do it because you love where you live and a lifelong LP guy, right? And
and some of the things that people don't know is the reason I do this. Me and my wife built what was supposed to be our forever home on Buddy Ellis Road.
Yep.
In the early 90s. And then they built Woodland Crossing in the backyard.
Yeah.
So all the woods behind my house turned into this huge development. I packed up and left.
Yeah.
So I'm not dealing with this. And then after I did, I said, that's not right. Why did I have to leave my area because of a development? Yeah. And I started looking into it. And I've even said this in meetings. Instead of me going to council meetings and sitting in the chairs and complaining about it, I ran for office.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to change it for the better for our parish.
Yeah.
The best that I possibly can, and I want to just bring the axe down and say, this is what we're going to do. But it don't work like that. It just does not work like that.
It'd be nice if it did.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
If y'all have any questions, put them in the comments section of this podcast that maybe we didn't address, or you want more information on. I'll get them to Jeff, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer.
Be happy to.
He was very forthcoming with coming on here, and really wanted to sit down with us and talk to the citizens and just say, hey, this is kind of what's going on with that moratorium and what we're trying to do to fix some of the issues that exist. Thank you for that. So I want to thank everyone for listening to Local Leaders of Podcast and Listen Up Livingston. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business and local councilmen.
Yes, sir.
And keep leading. Thank you very much.
Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.